2 of unsolicited
Nick's picks.
Nick's picks. I like it.
You don't know what you're going to get until it starts.
Nick picks the flicks.
Sometimes. I don't know.
Sometimes. And then we have to decide if they have big Nick energy or not. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole shebang.
Yes.
Today we're going to talk about The Thing.
The 1982 The Thing, not the 2011 one.
Oh, okay. I was
Which
hoping.
we should watch.
Yeah, we could.
Maybe we should watch it.
Yeah.
I'm super down. You said it was a prequel or a sequel?
It's kind of a prequel, kind of a remake. It's what happens at the Norwegian camp
Right.
before the events of this movie that we're talking about, but it kind of is the exact same thing.
In Antarctica.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of which,
So, today we are joined by a scientist.
special guest expert.
Special guest expert.
Wouldn't call me that, but
Her name is,
Kira.
right? And what do you study?
Glaciology, they say.
Glaciology, they say. And what level of school are you in?
I'm in my PhD.
Shit. That's pretty good.
Doctor?
Doctorate? What?
Fancy.
That's really cool. It's cool. We just met, so that's neat. Just met on the street,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Kira introduced herself as a glaciologist, and we said, "Hey, we're doing a podcast tonight on The Thing. Have you watched it?" She said, "Yeah, very recently I watched it," and that led to her coming over to do this podcast.
That was a story I wasn't aware of.
Just trying to world build here. Thank you. Just trying to create some lore.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Unsolicited glaciologist could be the title of this episode.
Did I just look like the glaciologist when you pulled me off the street?
I mean, you do.
Blistered face, missing toes.
Yeah.
You know the whole glaciology thing.
Half my nose missing.
Yeah, cold.
Just cold.
Yeah, she's like cold and confused, shielding her eyes and everything. Why is the albedo so high? Yeah, The Thing.
Yeah,
So sat down and watched that the other night. My first time.
yeah.
My first time.
My 20th to 25th time probably.
That's why this is called, again, Unsolicited.
I mean, it's
Nick
one of the
picks.
best movies of all time. I think I'm just going to start by saying that.
Okay,
For
it
me,
is.
it is. For me, it is.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I will admit, I dozed off once or twice, but that's because I didn't sleep the night before due to no fault of my own.
Right. Of course.
So, I'll be honest about that. But also, I
A
will
little
not.
bit of fault of your own.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I made some decisions. Okay, fair.
This is also a relationship podcast now, as well as a movie podcast.
Okay, fair.
I mean, but okay, so it was good, but did you? So this movie is widely regarded as one of the best horror movies of all time. Would that
Unless
make
you're
sense
a fan
to
of
you?
Red Letter Media.
Did they bash it?
I don't know.
I thought
I
they-
think one of them loves it.
Okay.
I don't know. I just watched the video and I already forgot. I have a bad memory though.
Okay.
Yes, I thought it was very good. I can see. There's the obvious, like, all the shows that you grew up watching and shit, like how they copy it, and I think we talked about that a bit. Where I don't know. I'm sure you've run into these TV shows where there's the thing that takes on whatever form, and they have to find a way to get rid of it. It's like there's an episode of Futurama like that, stuff like that. So you can see the direct influence that it has.
Yeah.
Across everywhere.
Yeah.
There's also some more subtle things. I'm sure we can get into those.
Was that the first of its kind to do that? To have a monster that does that?
I don't know. I think it probably set a precedent that maybe other films hadn't, because I think that is the part it's most effective at, is building that tension between the characters, right? Where you don't know who it is, and so it's this constant suspense, and it's as much of a mystery as it is a horror movie. I guess off the top of my head, I don't know. So it's based on a short story, and it was originally adapted into a movie in the 50s called The Thing from Another World. But that's more of a traditional, it's like a 50s sci-fi movie where it's just the thing is a big monster that walks around and goes in the 50s. It's like a Frankenstein movie.
I thought this movie seemed more like a sci-fi movie than a horror.
Yeah.
To me.
Mm-hmm. I think the effects give it that kind of sci-fi edge. I mean, a lot of people, it's pretty horrific as well, but some of it is a little cheesy, especially nowadays, the effects, but they do stand up.
Yeah, it was very should I say, like body horror, like
Yeah.
not to the same degree as like what are those movies I'm thinking of?
Like
From
Chronic
Beyond. And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of that where the kind of like The Fly, where you're just like, ew. You know what I mean? There's a few moments like that, but it's fun. It's creepy. It's cool. I definitely see what you mean by it's sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, Nick, because you are the expert,
Oh.
can you give actually no, Kira, can you give a brief synopsis of what happens?
No.
Yeah, just give a brief. The point isn't to get it right. The point is to just recall it as best you can.
Yeah. According to you, what happened?
So there's a group of researchers at a research station in Antarctica,
Mm-hmm.
and they're disturbed by a helicopter that's shooting a dog
Mm-hmm.
over the glacier, and then the helicopter winds up crashing, and then there's a guy in it, and he's Norwegian, and they wind up killing him. And they take the dog in, and the dog brings in the virus, or the monster thing, or the Norwegian does, I can't tell. And then it wreaks havoc on everything, destroys the
Yeah.
camp.
That's
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's good. I like
Okay.
it. Spoilers aren't too crazy, but they're there. I like it. It's perfect. It's well done. That's better than I remember.
Well, it's we can talk about spoilers. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Lots of people have seen this movie.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that we haven't seen it yet was weird.
Nah, it's fine. But you keyed into something right at the end, because one of the most debated things about this movie is the ending and what actually happens. And like one of the number one things that people bring up is that Childs, Keith David, doesn't have, like, his breath isn't cold. Like, you don't see his breath. So people have taken that to mean that he became the Thing, and he is the Thing because you can't see his breath. Now, it's like a huge debate. So,
Seeing that the gun in the beginning of the movie was shooting and you didn't actually see visible bullets,
Mhm.
I can
Or muzzle
definitely
burst.
seeing it just being a editing
Yeah.
mistake.
yeah, and I mean, I think, like, the point of the movie is not to have you know what happens at the end, right? Like, it's best not knowing who if someone is the Thing or isn't the Thing. It's impossible to tell if it is able to blend in perfectly. You would never be able to tell.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the scary part.
I like that. I like that. I like when you can just. This is stepping away from the movie for a second. I like when you can just accept part of a movie rather than try and like be in the mindset of the character, and you're like, oh no, I think the character meant this because of this history, and you're like, but this person's not real.
Yeah.
It's the writer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. You know it. You know it.
I think so.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
You know it.
I like an ambiguous ending. I always prefer that over, like, something that's very definitive and, like, when it's up to interpretation.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, fuck me as a simpleton. I like it just like they all died or they fell in love and lived happily ever after.
It is funny, though, because people for years and years have always asked John Carpenter, who made this movie, like, what happened at the end? Like, what does it mean? What happened? And he's always just like, you tell me. Like, he didn't decide what happened. I mean, this is, whether he did or didn't, he tells people that he didn't decide what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, up for you to interpret.
Oh, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool ending. Big explosion. That was sick.
Yep.
Can't complain about that.
Explosions are cool.
Explosions are cool. I'm gonna be dumbing it up. I'm just dumb. I'm
No.
dumbing it up.
I love explosions in movies. Something
So
happens.
sick.
I don't know.
But I was gonna ask you actually. First of all, we were talking about this during the movie. It's set in Antarctica. They're at what station?
They didn't say.
Okay, but you figured out that they weren't.
Well, okay, they contact the McMurdo Research Station, which is in the McMurdo Dry Valley.
Okay.
It's one of the most major research stations in Antarctica. Yeah.
Okay.
But they never say discreetly what that one is.
Right. Right. And you were saying there was an issue with them being on an ice field
Yes.
because.
Well, they're on an ice. So an ice field is not an ice sheet like Antarctica is. So an ice sheet, you would have just snow. It's basically a flat surface. It's just snow as far as you can see. They were on a glacier in a mountainous area where you had mounds all around it, and it was a very confined glacier, and they were definitely in an ice field, likely in the Rockies, either the Canadian Rockies or the American Rockies, or
we looked it up. They were in Alaska. They were in Alaska.
One
of the
near
Pacific
Coastal Range
right
ranges. Yeah.
In the Elias Range. Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
You're gonna be there at some point in your career. I'm
Probably.
sure.
Maybe.
That'd be wild.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So my other question I wanted to ask you was, these glaciologists.
Never explicitly called glaciologists.
Right.
We have no idea what type of research they're conducting.
Right. They could be doing anything.
Yeah, none of them seem to be very proactive scientists. The
You-
one, sorry,
No, go ahead.
No, the one guy's a medical doctor, but that's about as close as you
Yeah.
get to actually knowing what they do.
Because they never hint at any of the things people associate with ice core scientists. They never hint at any of that. You don't see any equipment. They never talk about anything, so we have no idea what they're researching.
That's
They
a good
have
point.
a lot of medical and biological lab equipment, though.
That's a good point.
Also, flamethrowers and dynamite.
Yes.
I wanted to know that. Why do they have flamethrowers and dynamite?
Because fucking cool.
I know it's cool. Come on, but
I mean, is it possible it was a military outpost? Could that have been a thing? Is that a thing
but
that
they call
exists?
themselves scientists. I thought. Don't they say scientists?
I don't know that they ever say that, to be honest, but maybe.
Whoa.
Well, the description, the movie description,
Okay.
says that they're scientists.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe they're military scientists, as you were saying. Like outpost scientists, like some schlock zombie movie.
But it's
Right.
an American movie, so they would have been a lot more
Fatigued.
forward with
Get
that idea.
Get it? Fatigued.
Fatigued.
Right. Right. That works on multiple levels. Okay. I'm saying. Kurt Russell does a great job of turning off his computer, though.
He does.
He figured out a quick and efficient way.
He wastes his Jim Beam, though. He gets that computer.
I feel like that wasn't a waste of Jim Beam. Jim Beam serves few purposes. Few purposes.
What scene was that?
It's when he's playing chess against the computer and he pours his drink
Yeah,
into the...
right.
He's so awesome in this movie. That's the other thing. That's the other thing about this movie that just... Kurt Russell's so cool.
And as you were saying, he's the only person that can live in Antarctica with a leather jacket.
Yeah.
He just screams cool.
Yeah, I would believe it, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No?
Leather jacket. A leather bomber.
Next time
And a cowboy hat.
Next time I go up in the ice, in an ice field, I'm going to see if I can get away with the leather jacket. I'll die,
Yes.
but I'll look cool dying.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I really liked that throughout the movie everybody was in parkas,
Mhm.
and then they had a hat, a winter hat, and then they had snow goggles or something, and he was always in a cowboy hat and a leather bomber jacket.
He doesn't need that shit.
Yeah.
He's got pure adrenaline running through his blood.
There's so much
He-
testosterone.
Looks like a geologist, a professor in geology, their younger profile picture that they had in the 80s.
That you still use it.
Yes.
Yes.
He looks like that.
That is such a good description.
Maybe some of those geology professors went through similar things and have come back to teach, and that's their
A
harrowing
lot of them
experience.
have.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're so
Questionable.
make some decisions. So as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, my second question was, in all your years of experience playing with ice, have you ever extracted something the way they extracted the ice beast? Because from what it looked like they just, like the alien, whatever. Alien.
Yeah, you can just call it the thing.
The thing, yeah, but I wanted to get more precise with it.
Okay,
but I was
alright.
no, they're assuming it comes from outer space. But you know in that scene where they show the excavation site,
Yeah.
and it was just a figure shape in the ice.
Funny enough, today, this has nothing to do with your question.
Oh, good.
I was researching articles, and I was trying to find stuff on snow algae,
Okay,
and it came up that there's an ice worm. There's a worm that lives in temperate coastal ice,
Whoa.
usually in glaciers in the North American Pacific, in glacier regions where the mean annual average temperature doesn't go below -7.
Oh, neat.
Whoa.
And it's like a tiny little black worm, and it spends its entire life in the ice, in the snow, and the moment you bring it above it, it desiccates.
Whoa.
That's scary. Do you think that ice worm could, like, if you could, like, get in your body and turn you into assimilate you into a...
Do you think if I ate it, I'd feel happy for once?
Fix me?
But it did remind me of that.
That is wild. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
People just call it an ice worm.
Ice
It's
worm.
like one of the only creatures. It's the largest organism that lives in like glaciers.
Wow.
I just thought of a cool idea for a movie where the ice worm fights the sandworm from Dune.
Oh,
Movie Sandworm. Shia
that'd be
LaBeouf.
sick.
I like it.
I like that a lot.
But okay, if I ever extracted anything,
Yeah. Does that make any sense to you?
No.
Oh, okay.
like dug out something.
No. Did this scene make any sense to you from the shit you've seen in your field experience? Have you ever seen something like-
Unfrozen a body is what he's asking.
more or less?
I can't say that I have.
Okay.
I've done excavations in archaeological sites,
Archaeological ice sites?
not ice sites,
Well, that's not what I asked, is it?
tropical sites.
Well, have you
That's
ever seen Encino Man?
Encino Man.
Yeah, that's the stuff. It's like Pauly Shore is somebody who's frozen in ice and gets woken up in the 90s. It's a dumb
That
comedy
sounds
movie from
great.
the 90s. Yeah,
That sounds amazing.
it's pretty good.
I remember
Second
the-
permafrost?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know the detail. It's been a while.
There's a Tales from the Crypt Keeper cartoon episode like that where they
Oh, yeah.
unleash a prehistoric person out of the ice.
classic.
I got really stoned to watch that all the time. It was such a good one.
I have been to the cemetery in Svalbard where they excavated bodies from the 1918 flu pandemic,
Oh wow.
Whoa.
where they extracted it in like the last 20 years or something to figure out the virus and to figure out like a vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have seen that cemetery.
Is that Were they preserved in ice?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
They're preserved because you have to, they don't allow any burials anymore in Svalbard, but back then they would do it, and you'd have to drill into the permafrost, so that they didn't, like, because the permafrost layer's so shallow,
Mm-hmm.
or the active layer is so shallow, you have the permafrost over right there, so you have to actually dig into the permafrost, and so all the bodies were perfectly preserved.
Crazy.
Wait, what is Svalbard?
Svalbard is the island, it's the high Arctic island of Norway, so it's like something don't quote me on this, like 500 miles north of the coast of
Okay.
Norway.
There's a band I like called Svalbard.
No way! Are they Norwegian?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do they scream?
Yeah.
Do they use a lot of heavy distortion? yeah.
There's some clean singing in it as well.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's fun.
What does Svalbard look? Oh, sorry.
No.
No, go for it.
No.
What does Svalbard look like?
What do you mean?
Like, are there plants?
No.
Are there rocks?
Yes.
Is it glaciated?
It's mostly just scree,
What's screen?
like broken up rocks.
Okay.
Like ice shattered rocks and
Interesting.
stuff. It's basically the entire landscape, and then there's glaciers, and a lot of it's snow covered.
Oh, cool.
And there's no woody plants, so there's no bushes or anything like that. There's no grasses. There's like lichen. You have some like grasses, like the cotton grass thing that grows there, but yeah, there's not really anything there. In
So
terms
there's no
of vegetation.
soil.
There's no soil, no.
That actually does sound fascinating.
Is there any fine grained sediment?
Probably near river.
And in lakes?
Yes, but there's a lot of lake core studies in that region.
You look like you're
Has
having
anyone
an
get
idea.
GDGTs in those lakes?
I think so.
Oh, neat. I need to find that paper.
Elizabeth,
Thomas.
yes. Can we say names?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
She's
She
not
does
gonna
funny
watch
that
this. She's not gonna watch this.
she's doing the leaf waxes on a lot of lakes. Up there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and of course there's permafrost, so there is like that muddy soil part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need to talk about this kind of science. It's fine. We're getting off track. The thing!
There's all kinds of experts. Hey, it's great to hear from lots of experts.
No, that's really cool to hear. I got this sticker with Elizabeth Thomas actually.
Yeah.
Small world. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear you never excavated a body in the ice. I had one complaint.
Okay.
Now, we don't know how far down the Norwegians had to go through the ice to get to the body.
Yes.
I will say, if that was near the surface, and they're trying to say that they're hypothesizing that this thing fell to the earth and was frozen at the surface, basically, and they just happened upon it, I'm not satisfied with that.
What are you not satisfied with? The fact that it's so close to the surface?
Yeah.
That's
No,
fair.
it's not going to be that close to the surface.
Well, it's Antarctica,
Yeah.
where accumulation rates are very minimal.
True. But now, let's look at it from the perspective of the movie. If you look at the ice sheet that they're on in Antarctica, that doesn't look like it would have low accumulation rates. Also, look at the blizzards that they're in. Something tells me there's not low accumulation rates where they're at. We're doing that.
Blizzards in Antarctica.
Yes. Yes. But that would mean you have a lot of accumulation. We're doing that thing that I was already complaining about where people are like reading too into it and you're like, doesn't matter, it was already written.
No.
They obviously just didn't care.
No, I mean, it's
That's
good.
fine.
Well, the reason we have scientists on to talk about this movie is from a science perspective. That's why we're doing this.
Well,
Sure.
we'll just say that assuming that they are in Antarctica and
Yes.
they're completely immersed in that mindset,
Yes.
you know, a couple of meters down into the snow will give you quite a few decades. So
They were saying thousands of years.
probably not thousands of years, but how
I
far
think
do
they
they
say
dig?
20,000
And
years.
that's what I'm saying. We don't know how far they got.
Yeah.
So
I'm also just playing devil's advocate.
the details on this part of the movie are not my strong suit because there's the spaceship, which
Yeah,
is
that's what I
even
remember.
lower, which is super low.
Yes.
Right? And then so my understanding is potentially that the spaceship was somehow excavated and then the creature came out and then traveled from the spaceship and then was frozen after traveling from the spaceship and
That's
they
what I understand.
so and I don't know how they found it, to be honest. I forget if they say that. Maybe they do.
May have fallen asleep. At that point, then I think I completely missed that. And I was like, "This is stupid. The alien's at the surface and it fell and it lived. This is dumb."
I'll tell you this though. So that's what the 2011 movie is literally about. Is about the excavation of the.
We'll have
of
to
the
watch
thing.
it.
Now,
Yeah.
whether you accept it as canon or not is also up for debate. Because some hardcore fans will not accept the 2011 one as part of the like official story.
Right. That's fair.
See, this is where I'm an expert.
I like it. No, I like it.
Internet movie culture.
This
That's
is
my
what we need,
expertise.
though.
See, balanced perspectives all around.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can move on through the movie. So we've basically covered from the beginning.
Yeah.
We've dealt with the dog or someone brings the virus in. We've seen some body horror, yucky, yummy.
Was it the Norwegian or was it the dog?
So
who
the
brought
dog
it?
is the thing.
Oh, it
So
is
the
a thing.
Norwegians are hunting the dog because they know it is the thing, and they
Yes.
are trying to warn the Americans, like, that dog is a fucking creature, like, don't let it, like, don't
Right.
go near it, don't go near it.
The person with the thing with two faces, though, was that a Norwegian or was that an American?
That was one of the Americans that
Okay.
they tried to assimilate, I think, or I'm not sure.
I thought that was a Norwegian. But
Okay, maybe.
Okay, was it two faces or was it one face spread apart?
I don't know.
Because I was like, why would it merge two faces unless it?
Oh.
But then who knows? Because it had like the dog's head coming out at one point with the other head,
Yeah.
and then
The
it-
tendrils.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It was fucking cool.
Yeah, I think whether it's one or two to me is like, I'm like
It doesn't
just
matter.
looks crazy, right?
Yeah,
It's just like,
no, exactly.
But it is interesting how they show you the whole process of assimilation, because it could have just been like, I feel like if this movie was made today, is the other thing is when it gets assimilated, it would be like a CGI effect of just like
Yeah.
whoop, and then it would just like change. But in this movie, it's like you can feel the cells like mashing against each other and like fighting each other. because it's so gross and there's so much fluid and like muscle and
The effects were really cool.
Yeah.
What were they again? What made it really like people say it stands out?
Yeah, just the I'm not sure what it is about it, but like the practical effects are like, this is 1982, and then like by the mid 80s you're starting to see lots of computer stuff in, and like it kind of stands the test of time a little bit.
Practical effects do. You're right. You're right. Again, it's kind of like it's like the From Beyond stuff, which I know you haven't watched, but it's just like it's really cool because the directors get to play with perspective and 4 different perspectives. I think it's From Beyond where it's like the guy's head, and he has a big snake body behind him, and all they did is they just like taped like a little painted tube behind him, and then they fixed the camera so that the bottom of the camera was at his chin, so his head's standing there, he's just moving his head around, but it looks like it's connected to this long snake thing, and it's just great little effects like that. It gets the job done. Kira and I are really into, well, at least we've been talking about kind of perspective and ideas on practical effects. We watched Coraline for Halloween, and we had our minds blown by like not just like the texture that they get on those miniatures,
It's texture for me,
but like the scale of the texture.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which she brought up because she's smarter than me.
I love that production company. I always forget their name, but I love them.
They did Box Trolls, right?
Yeah,
It
they
was
did
the same
all
one?
of that. It always escapes me. Yeah, they're great.
I've never seen Coraline.
You never seen Box Trolls?
Not enough explosions.
Have you seen
Like,
There's not enough cells mashing.
the Missing Link? Oh my God, we're gonna watch that after.
Oh, we watched that one in Yukon.
But we need to watch it with him.
Yeah, we did.
I was gonna. You're gonna. I'm
Ooh,
like.
next movie.
I like things with swears in my lives. I'm sorry.
Box Trolls
Just
is creepy.
swears. I like when they use bad words. Yeah. Swear words.
Well, we were saying too, or I was saying like Coraline is the perfect intro to horror for children and teenagers because it has very strong horror elements, especially in the latter part of the movie. It's like the perfect introduction to horror.
Yeah.
They do such a good job with that.
I really like that one. So, you haven't watched it.
I know enough about it. I know this.
You know, like the button eyes?
Yes, yeah.
And it's like...
You see, I did the thing before you even
Yeah,
said
you did. Are you sure you're not just dog whistling to your people? Just kidding. Coraline has like the little, like, or all the people have like little button eyes.
Yeah.
And they're like, they say that, oh, we have to give you your eyes. And she's like, I don't want those eyes. And like, they never come out and say at the beginning, like, oh, we're going to sew your eyes. You don't see it. But it's like enough of that, like, use your imagination of like imagine getting your eyes sewn.
The things look creepy, even just like thinking about the movie.
Well, she even asked if it hurt.
Yeah.
And then you never
That's
get an
a good
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like the idea, like putting that out there.
Yeah.
It is good. Maybe I'll show that to my nephew.
There's jump scares and everything in it. Like very subtle jump scares, but yeah.
That's good.
Not yet. You wouldn't.
You got to get them accustomed early.
Yeah, you really do.
Or you make them wait, and then you just show them all the scary stuff at once when they turn 12, and they just lose it.
Yeah. So I didn't watch horror movies forever, and then I just turned into the weirdest fucking, undesensitized weirdo.
When did you start watching them?
Honestly, even as like a young teen, I like tried to watch Scream, and when I was like 13, and it was like way too scary. It was like
really?
Yeah, it was like high school. I was like 15, 16, and then I just dove in the deep end, and by like university, we were like, like what about Guinea Pig and like
Yeah. I had the exact same trajectory.
Yeah.
Yet he wouldn't talk to me in high school.
That's not true.
That's true.
That's not true.
That's how I play in my head.
I started with horror much later in life, when I was 24, I guess.
Yeah. That's when you first got introduced.
I found that I just developed my taste in horror very quickly from that.
Yes.
So
It's addicting. It's fun.
It is.
It's nice.
I like this little clap. That was a loud clap.
That was a loud clap.
You're an effective clapper.
I haven't been told that in my life. Well, we're back from our other break.
Yep.
So we we just covered the discussion of yeah, Coraline. But we got to Coraline from
Practical effects.
pardon me?
Practical effects.
Practical effects, exactly. So we got to see as I was saying, the ew, yucky, yum stuff, and then where does that take us to in the movie?
I mean, to be honest, that is largely what it is, though, right? It's this tension of like everybody knows there's something. The thing is in the camp, and it's one of the people, but nobody knows who it is, and you don't know who to trust, and you can't believe anyone. So it's this like growing sense of paranoia and mistrust amongst the staff or the scientists or whatever. And so it's like them trying to figure out and come up with different ways of figuring out who's the thing and who's human, and it's just kind of a. In a way, that is the scariest part, right? Is not knowing who you can trust.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How does it transfer? Because it takes over a person and they usually kill it, and then it gets into another person somehow? Or are there multiple of them? Or does it replicate?
I think that was part of the mystery.
I think there can be multiple. Like it can replicate, right? Because again, and that's the other thing I think is cool about this movie is like, because it would have been really easy for the viewer to know, okay, right now it comes into the camp, it infects this person, or the dog is this person, and then it gets this person, then it gets this person, but the viewer also doesn't know. So like, and it's this otherworldly horror that can't be described by language we have, so it's like, maybe we don't know what it does, or how it absorbs people, but at a certain point, because both the doctor and someone else are the thing, right? So like, there's more than one at once, I think, at a certain point.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I like the idea that it's otherworldly. You don't know how to even think about it because you see that with Kurt Russell playing with the blood. Mm-hmm. Like the blood is still a part of it. Like it infects the full body. And well, it has to start at some microscopic level, right? Yeah. So it must spread like that, but then it's still connected in some weird hive mind thing. I'm not sure. Yeah,
I really liked that scene.
Yeah,
discussing the blood.
Yeah.
The highlight of the movie, I think, is that scene.
Well, it's also so cool seeing everyone being like,
yeah,
right? Because like they don't know if they're the things. Like, wait, what if I am the thing and this is just what the thing? I thought that was cool. I will say again, as I was saying earlier, having watch shows that have kind of played off this idea, and again, I'm sure like this. Mechanism of a thing taking over different people. I'm sure that's a story as old as time, but I was kind of like, oh yeah, it's that thing. It's that idea. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if I got to see it when I was younger and wasn't as full of useless shows and movies, it would have hit harder, but it was very fun. And like, still built tension. Like I could still feel that tension build, which I don't feel a lot often from movies.
Yeah, it's honestly a tough thing to achieve, and I think like two of the reasons I also always think about why it stands out more than just like you describe it, but why is it special? And like the effects are one reason, and then the other reason is like they do a good job. And while I'm not a scientist, so feel free to refute me. To me, it's one of the few movies where I actually feel like the characters are trapped. In so many horror movies and so many movies in general, it's like. I know that the movie writes in the story is this car won't start or they're in the woods, but like I don't get that true sense of isolation. Yeah. Whereas in this movie, there's so many they do a good job of kind of establishing the environment and showing how desolate it is, and like they try and contact people but they can't, and there's just something truly. It feels cold, it feels harsh, they feel alone, and so when you know that like there's no other escape, right? You're just stuck here with this thing. It really does build the tension, and then also the characters are just like super fun. Like everyone, I mean, they're not the most complex or deep characters, but they're all given fun little quirks and traits, and like there's some really good, some bit parts that but they're just they're either funny or memorable, or they have a fun line to say. Like the characters feel memorable.
Mm-hmm. The guy who loves the dogs.
Yeah,
right?
And he's so sweet.
Wait, are you saying Kurt Russell's character isn't deep and complex? I feel like under that veneer of alcoholism, there's a very
the helicopter
complicated.
pilot without a helicopter.
yeah.
He's just a badass.
Yeah, no, I know.
Where's his helicopter?
It blew up.
They destroyed it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
The doctor?
Yeah.
Who's
Right.
correct?
I remember.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna say, and I know this is overdone, blah blah blah, but I have to say it. I do like that you're bringing up like the desolate feeling.
Yeah.
Because from my limited experience, you can speak to this more, but like being in the ice in like a tent, and then you have another tent, so like their trailers, whatever they have up there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I could go outside and I could walk for however long I want, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so confining, and it's so claustrophobic, right? They do a really good job of replicating that.
Especially since they cut off radio contact with the other research stations,
Yeah.
and this is probably before the time of satellite phones and everything. So
yeah.
the only way you would have gone help is if somebody noticed that you were not responding.
Right.
So if nobody was checking in on you, you
Yeah.
would have no way to get out.
Yeah.
Well, I also like that they, rather than having a helicopter leave and then just being like, oh, we don't know when it's going to come back, it's like, no, they have the helicopter and it's destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other helicopter. There's nothing for you to be like, in the back of your mind being like rationalizing it.
Yes.
There is no rationalizing. Like these people are fucked.
Yeah. Well, with about 20 minutes left in the movie, like one character says, like, we're not getting out of here alive. Like none of us are, and everybody just seems to be like, you're right. Okay, well let's deal with it.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, there's nobody has any false expectations about what this situation is. They're like, we are fucked. We are gonna kill everybody if we have to, and we're probably not gonna survive.
Yeah.
And their goal becomes, we need to stop it from leaving. And that's the other cool part about it is like, it could have just been contained, but then they kind of go, well, if it leaves here, and I know the computer screen that says total worldwide infection in 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Chances of one person being infected, ... 75%.
Which is awesome. But like, but that's silly, but like their goal becomes like, we need to like cut off contact from like the real world, like the outside world.
There's no panic.
No.
Yeah.
They're just like, that's what we gotta do.
It's because they're all so sweet. Like, they're so cool.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we know.
Yeah. It's over.
It's over. They've all accepted it. I couldn't handle that.
If they were from a research institute or a university, they would have been in so much trouble for not having a backup plan.
There you go.
That's a good point.
No life insurance. Life insurance voided.
Life insurance voted, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I did some work with this guy who was in Antarctica doing research, and he went there for many, many, many years. He's a pretty famous Antarctic researcher, but he was saying that his favorite story was that they would have these outhouses, and it's basically like just like a little squatty potty with a bag in it, and then when the bag got full, you closed it, you tied it up. You gave it to the helicopter pilot, and the helicopter pilot had to fly it.
That's a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Except this one time, one of the bags had a hole in it, and they didn't tell the helicopter pilot. They just gave it to him and put him in his helicopter. And then they watched him take off and then fly for a few seconds, and then they saw their bag of shit fall out of the helicopter leaking on the way down. That was a good story.
It's really nice that they take out. I think a lot of camps in Antarctica do that.
Yeah, I think they have to.
Yeah, but in the rest of the world, if you're on a glacier, you just dig a hole.
Huh.
It's usually 6 feet down, and then you dig a little trench, and then you straddle it, and then...
Is that so people can find you're the thing?
I would never choose this lifestyle.
I don't know why I did.
Yeah, I can't believe people choose this lifestyle.
It's really fun. It's very cold.
Hmm.
But you're out of the wind, so...
Hopefully you're out of the wind.
Everything about it sounds
And then to
Is
hide
that a
it...
bug?
Yeah.
You're probably the type of person that would pluck a mosquito out of your coffee before you drink it.
It's true.
To hide it, you just take a handful of snow, toss it on top.
That makes sense to me.
Smush it in. Do you brush your teeth when you're on the glacier?
I do.
Gross.
My advisor doesn't.
You brush your teeth up there?
Yes. Why don't you?
I don't know.
It's gross not to.
It feels like it'd be cold and your toothpaste would freeze.
No,
And
because
your
it's in your
toothbrush
mouth.
would freeze. No, your toothpaste. Wouldn't your toothpaste freeze?
My toothpaste is. when I was up there.
Wow.
I've never
Why am
been.
I just thinking about this now?
It's in your tent, right? During the day, so it
How
stays
hot-
warm.
Does it? How much does your tent get?
But freezing.
Your tent stays above freezing? What are the,
Did
what are
you
the
never
air
go
temperatures?
Did you never go into the tent during the day?
No.
It's really warm in there. It's like 10 degrees probably.
I'm also doing a great job of asking questions.
You are.
Yeah.
I'm
Right?
doing a port.
Have you thought about that? Like, hey, how cold is the air when you're up there?
-20 to -40.
And yet your tent, unheated, can stay.
Above freezing.
That's crazy. I didn't even think of that, and I was up there.
Well, a really good winter tent or all-season tent will maintain that kind of warmth.
Right.
Remember in the kitchen tent,
Yes.
how warm it would get? Yeah,
Mhm.
How do you sleep?
in a -40 bag.
It's actually really comfy.
When you wake up, is it like the worst feeling in the world?
Horrible.
Well, so you're warm usually by the morning,
Yeah.
and you have your like hood thing completely closed except for like this much.
Well, you do. I don't.
Yeah, he doesn't. My face gets cold if I don't completely hide.
Oh no, mine doesn't cinch around my face. My head's everything's too big. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And then you're so warm that when you get dressed outside of your sleeping bag, you can definitely deal with it. It's totally fine. You do it fast, but it's not bad.
You take out your boot liners though, and you put them in your sleeping bag
Yeah.
with you, so your feet don't get cold.
Anything that's wet, you sleep with, and it dries off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There is one really good story about when we were up there. Kira's stomach wasn't feeling well when we were up there. And we were staying there for one night, thankfully.
I was sleeping at an angle with my head at a lower elevation than my stomach.
I hate all of this.
I was falling asleep, and then Kira was like, "I don't feel well," and like I was like, "It's like what can you do? You're on top of a mountain, what right?" And I was like, I don't know how to help you, and then you were like, "I'm just gonna try and sleep," and then in the middle of the night, I woke up and all I heard was like, "Yeah,"
Oh no.
it's just like, "I threw up."
Well, okay, so what happened was I forgot to drink water all day because it's super easy to
Yeah.
forget to drink.
Mhm.
And so before I went to bed, I decided to drink like half a liter. But I was
That's a lot.
which is a lot, and I was at an angle where if I don't like basically sit up, it doesn't go down for me, digest. And so I was like this, and then what happened was I just felt really nauseous because I think there's a lot of air in my stomach as well from
Yeah.
drinking and stuff, and I threw up the water purely. Nothing else, just the water.
That's-
That was the crazy part.
yeah.
I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I just threw up, but I just threw up water."
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, "There's no way she just threw up water, but we'll deal with that in the morning. It's -40, it'll freeze. Who cares, right?" And then we woke up the next morning. There's nothing on her sleeping bag. It's Gore-Tex at least, so it like falls off. And I was like, "Well, if she threw up food, there'd be something, right?"
Yeah.
And then as I was packing away the sleeping bags and stuff to leave, I like pulled Kira's sleeping pad back, and there's this little perfect pool of frozen water. I was like, "That's her puke." Oh, that was good. That was a fun trip.
We were in a rush, so in a not so rush situation, you make sure that floor is completely even so you can sleep on it better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Wow, I'm so metropolitan. I don't want to do that at all. What if you get sick? What if you got real sick up there?
You get
Ugh.
You call for help?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Unless there's a storm.
yeah.
Ooh, I have another good story regarding that. Another guy I worked with, he was climbing, and I don't think he was doing research. I think he was just climbing, and he fell.
In the glacier?
No, that's a whole other story.
Okay, wait.
So he's climbing like on a mountain.
Okay,
It was winter, but I don't think they were on a glacier.
okay.
And he fell and he snapped his ankle. From how he described it, his like leg skin was basically just like a hot dog skin, but the middle hot dog meat was just separated. So like his foot was separated from the leg,
Like this. His like foot was like this.
Oh yeah. I thought you were waving at something.
No, his foot was like.
Yeah. And he like couldn't move.
Yeah.
So his like climbing partner had to call the military for help.
Wow.
And get him helicoptered out. 9 hours.
Yeah.
And so he had to sit. They set up a tent for him. So he was in the tent. It was winter. They didn't have any ice packs on it, of course, because they're climbing. And so he had to lay in this tent and then just stick his foot outside the tent.
Fuck.
And he just lay like that for 9 hours and just, I don't know, probably popped a few Tylenol. But like, 9 hours.
That's crazy. I don't know how to do that.
In situations, so like when we go out, even for like a 2-day trip onto a glacier where there's bad weather, a lot of times we pack an extra 2 weeks of food.
Yeah.
In case we're stuck for
Wow.
2 weeks. So
Fun.
super fun.
But Antarctica sounds worse.
Oh, it's much worse.
Because at least in North America, if you go to any of the ice caps, ice sheets in like the Rockies, like theoretically you can trudge down the mountain at some point.
No.
No?
No.
There's no way? I thought you could ski down.
If you came prepared for crevasse crossing and you're not solo and everybody can ski and everybody can hike, then yeah.
If I was up there with a pair of skis, and for some reason
fucking rocket down.
I didn't care about anyone else, theoretically, I could get down the mountain, right?
I mean, you would be stuck like 100 miles into a national park at that point.
So I take the mud,
Fucking around.
put it under my eyes, under my glasses, of course. Without my glasses, I'd be dead. I kill a squirrel. I make fire somehow, eat the squirrel, and then I get home. It's that simple. It's only 100 miles.
So
It's like the
for
movie Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
any places in the Pacific Coastal Range, it'd probably be like a rescue. If you had good weather, it'd probably be within like, I don't know, 10 hours getting to a hospital. 10, 12 hours. In the high Arctic, it's like 24, 36 hours. In Antarctica, it's a few days at least.
It's crazy.
To get to a major hospital, which would be probably in like South Africa, Australia, or South America, Chile,
Yeah.
something like that.
Wow.
Depending where you are.
That's absolutely
That's why I
insane.
don't want to go to Antarctica. I have no desire to do that.
Yeah.
I know so many people who really want to do that, and like,
I don't like living in Edmonton with my warm, heated home.
You have to edit that out.
Oh yeah.
Give away the location, baby boy. Nah, it's okay. No one's gonna watch
you can
this.
just bleep it. That'd be really funny.
Right.
Yeah.
If only I understood audio editing equipment well enough.
That'd be worth
It'd be
it.
easy. It'd be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could
Oh
do
no,
it.
I no issues with that.
So you would love to be part of an overwintering team.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
I'd be a burden. Even more so.
Oh, did you guys not bring any veggie dogs? Excuse me, my bun is frozen. I can't eat my veggie dog with a frozen bun.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
This water doesn't taste good. Can you boil me more, actually?
Sounds about right.
I imagine Nick like getting into his tent, just muttering to himself, like sleeping on the ground. Like peasant.
So am I a simpleton?
What? My phone doesn't work up here?
Yeah.
Oh.
How can I fall asleep by watching YouTube videos?
Can't doom scroll through Twitter.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, good times.
Alright, so we covered basically we covered the story.
Yeah.
We've covered the science, and we've gone on too many tangents. The other big one I want to talk to you about was the music.
Yes.
Few interesting facts about this movie when it comes to music.
So this movie was scored by Ennio Morricone, who's a really famous Italian composer and film score writer. He did the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Like, you know that one? Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So Ennio Morricone, he's got to be probably the most like celebrated composer in film history. He's done so much. But anyways, this movie was scored by him, but normally John Carpenter scores all his own movies. This was the only one not scored by him. But Ennio Morricone traditionally has like a very, not a traditional sound, but like traditional instrumentation, like an orchestra and stuff like that. But this movie, I don't quote me on what he used, but it sounds synth-based. And it sounds like he just copied what John Carpenter did for his other movies and just like did a different version of it. And I also think John Carpenter was an advisor to his writing process.
Right.
So like they worked kind of together on it.
They did drugs together.
Yeah, they probably did a lot of drugs together and hung out. But
Hell
yeah, no, it's really good. Like that's another thing that adds to that atmosphere of like tension and isolation, right? It's got very cold kind of feeling.
I was gonna say it's very like you go into it and you're like, oh yeah, John Carpenter. And then you like listen to it and you're like, doesn't sound like John Carpenter.
No,
It's a little different.
You're right. And like I guess because John Carpenter usually has kind of like a little bit of a melody, like a little kind of lead melody that makes memorable, like Halloween or Escape from New York has like little motifs, and this is more just kind of atmospheric.
Right.
Just kind of like droning almost, right? Like it's not. There's no like.
That's probably why I don't remember.
Yeah. See, but when you're watching it, definitely adds a lot to the movie. I think it's still a very good score, but I mean, I think I prefer. I mean, John Carpenter's scores for his own movies are probably more memorable.
Right. Yeah.
Like I listen to them outside of the movies. Whereas this one I don't really go back and visit.
Right.
Like on its own, but it's still very good.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah, some of my playlists are just filled with. I look at them, I'm like, oh, this is just John Carpenter. Like, yeah, what am I doing?
He's great.
I was gonna say that there's a joke somewhere in there with droning and not being able to remember anything, and me not being able to remember my life because my life's just droning by. I can't figure it out right now, but there's a joke in there somewhere.
That was like 80% of the joke. So.
Right? I'm just too lazy to put the rest together. I don't have the energy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Nice. Any final thoughts?
That's one of the best movies ever made. It's like a top 3 movie of all time for me.
I love it. Kira, any thoughts?
I really liked it.
You really liked it?
Yeah, I usually don't like 80s horror movies, and I did really like that.
Next we're going to watch From Beyond. You'll love it.
Okay. I'm starting to like them a lot more than I used to.
Yes.
I think there's a wide range, right? Like just like modern ones, like you can find your Conjurings or your
But the Chuds.
Yeah.
I really liked Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepy Camp is great.
Yeah.
Sleepaway Camp. Probably next summer when we're still doing this, but
Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, also awesome.
Yes, I watched those over the summer. Really loved them. From your there is a 4th.
Yes.
But it doesn't exist.
It's like impossible to find.
Yeah, it was like a made-for-TV movie maybe, and no one has a copy of it. Or it was like half made and shown somewhere. There's like
that.
There's like mythos around it. It's very cool. So I loved it too. I'll put that out there. That was awesome. Really enjoyed it. Does it have Big Nick energy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. If any movie in the world has Big Nick energy, this is one of them.
So are we really measuring all other movies relative? Like are all other movies a fraction of Big Nick energy
relative
to the thing?
It's like pretty close. There might be 1 or 2 other ones that kind of exist in that tier, but it's one of those top tiers.
We won't tell our huge audience those movies. They'll find them out when we watch them.
You gotta keep looking.
Nick ends the thing being like, and you know what kind of Big Nick energy this one has?
Sponsors.
For our sponsors. Magic Spoon!
You should come up with your own sponsorships. You could probably come
Just
up
different SSRI commercials. Do you feel down in the dumps? Is it a struggle to get up in the morning even if you slept for 12 hours?
The your doctor talk you into Zoloft? Try sertraline. It's cheaper.
Remember, kids, the general shit works the same.
Yeah. I'm tired of paying more for name brands.
Do you need to budget your depression medication?
Are you
Do
not?
have depression because you have to budget for
Yeah.
your depression medication?
Are you not covered because of a pre-existing condition?
Fuck, right. That's not a bad idea. We should. Oh, okay. Fair.